Sometimes when you receive a vision from God or a dream from God, or you get a revelation that requires some type of action on your part, you have to keep it to yourself. Because if you share it with someone else, you open yourself up to their doubt, their unbelief, or sometimes even their persecution. So there are definite moments that when you get a word from God or you receive instruction from God, that you should keep it to yourself, because it will save you from some unnecessary strife a lot of times. And let me go through a couple of stories. If you remember the woman with the issue of blood, she got a revelation and she thought to herself. She did not discuss it with anyone else. Matter of fact, let's look at it. Let's go over to Mark chapter 5, and I'm going to start reading at verse 25. It says, a woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors, and over the years, she had spent everything she had to pay them. But she had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. She had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him through the crowd and touched his robe. For she thought to herself, if I can touch his robe, I will be healed. Immediately, the bleeding stopped, and she could feel in her body that she had been healed of her terrible condition. But in verse 28, it says, she thought to herself. When she got that revelation, she did not discuss it with anyone else, because there was a possibility that someone else could have spoke doubt into her, imparted some unbelief into her, told her she was crazy, things of that nature. So she did not allow for that to happen. She thought to herself and she acted on it. And like I said, there are times that you just need to keep it to yourself. God just need you to believe and to put your action along with your faith, because faith without works is dead. Another one that comes to mind is the Apostle Paul. And if you go over to Galatians chapter 1, and I'll start reading at verse 15. This is the Apostle Paul. But even before I was born, God chose me and called me by his wonderful grace. Then it pleased him to reveal his Son to me, so that I would proclaim the good news about Jesus to the Gentiles. When this happened, I did not rush out to consult with any human being, nor did I go up to Jerusalem to consult with those who were apostles before I was. Instead, I went away into Arabia, and later I returned to the city of Damascus. Then 3 years later, I went to Jerusalem to get to know Peter, and I stayed with him for 15 days. So he said that when he got the revelation that God was calling him to proclaim the good news about Jesus Christ to the Gentiles, he said, I did not rush out and consult with any human being, nor did I consult with the apostles who had came before him. So here it is again. A revelation from God, and just acting on what God told him to do and not consulting with anyone else. At this time, the Apostle Paul, he could have been persecuted by certain people he told about this, or things of that nature. So he knew that God was telling him to do this, so he acted on what God was telling him to do. And if you remember Joseph told his dream to his brothers wanted to kill him. So understand that if you do share it with some people, that you must be prepared to not allow their doubt, their unbelief, or even their persecution discourage you. So you can keep it to yourself and just act and believe. Or if you do share with other people, be prepared to not allow their doubt or their discouragement or their persecution. Do not allow that to affect you. Because sometimes you may think, hey, I'll share with this person, they're a relative. And you will find, hey, sometimes it's even worse. Or you may say, hey, this person is a believer. I can definitely share with them. But you will find out that some believers do not believe. So that may not work either. So there are definitely certain times in your life that you just need to keep it to yourself. You just need to believe, and you just need to act. You don't need anyone to support you on this decision. If you know the decision or the revelation comes from God, then the reality of it is you really do not need anything else. Think about this. When you reason it to yourself, think about, do you know this revelation is true, is from God? Do you know if God is telling you to do this? And is someone else, is what they tell you something that's going to discourage you from what you know is right, from what you know that God is telling you to do? Understand that faith perceives as real fact what is not revealed to the senses. Human reason is the enemy of faith. And sharing it with other people a lot of times allows them to apply human reasoning to what you have already received by faith. And if they have not received it or they cannot see it, then they will try to impart human reason unto you or call you crazy or persecute you or things of that nature. And it's a possibility that it could discourage you. It's a possibility that some doubt can creep into your heart. So there are some times that you should definitely keep it to yourself, because your breakthrough could be one quiet move or act of faith away. Think about that. So sometimes you have to receive, believe, and then act, and keep it to yourself. Glory to his name. Well, with that being said, that is the word that God gave me for this video. So as always, until the next one, I just want to say, God bless.